During my sister's wedding, I was seized by labor pains and implored my mother, "Mom, please, I need a hospital." Her response was chilling. "Hold it together. This is your sister's day." Then she shut me in the bathroom, where I collapsed in anguish on the floor. When they finally opened the door, their horrified screams echoed through the wedding venue. In her stately Victorian home in Boston's affluent Beacon Hill, Amy Walker stood before a mirror, her hands gently cradling her pregnant belly. 9 months along, her body bore the joy and burden of new life. Soft spring sunlight streamed through the window, illuminating her skin, her calm smile glowing like a work of art. "My little one will meet soon," Amy whispered tenderly. On the bed lay an open letter from her husband, James, a senior partner at a law firm, away on a business trip with a major client. His frequent messages expressed his deep love for Amy and their unborn child. The sudden chime of her phone broke the stillness, the screen flashing "Mom." Amy hesitated before answering. "Amy, it's the final fitting for Vanessa's wedding dress. You'll be there at 2 p.m., right?" Martha Collins's voice was firm, posed as a question but expecting compliance. "Mom, I'm not feeling well today," Amy started. "You wouldn't let your pregnancy overshadow your sister's special day, would you?" Martha's tone was laced with judgment. Amy took a deep breath. "Of course, Mom, I'll be there." Martha ended the call satisfied. Amy slumped into a chair, weary. Just 1 week remained until her sister Vanessa's wedding to Thomas Clark, a celebrated heart surgeon. For Martha, this marriage was the culmination of years of social ambition, a crowning achievement. A prominent philanthropist in Boston's elite circles, Martha was a perfectionist at home, with high expectations for her younger daughter, Vanessa. Beautiful and accomplished, Vanessa had always met her mother's standards, graduating from a prestigious university and succeeding in business. Now she was poised to marry a rising star from a renowned Boston medical family. Amy, however, had chosen a path that veered from her mother's ideals. After graduating from a local university, she worked at a community legal aid organization, where she met and married James. At 36, she was expecting her first child. To Martha, Amy's life, a modest career, a simple wedding, and a late pregnancy was lacking. But with Vanessa's wedding nearing, Martha's focus was solely on its perfection. That afternoon at the bridal salon, Vanessa shone in her gown, and Martha's eyes glistened with pride. "You're absolutely radiant, Vanessa," Martha said, enchanted. "Everything is flawless." Amy smiled quietly, genuinely happy for her sister. Vanessa, warm and kind, shared a bond with Amy untainted by rivalry, though she had absorbed some of her mother's values. "You look lovely too, Amy," Vanessa said, then paused, glancing at Amy's belly. "But won't you stand out in the photos?" Stunned, Amy faltered. "I didn't mean it that way," Vanessa quickly clarified. Martha interjected. "Vanessa means the focus should be on the bride. Stay to the side in the pictures and be discreet." Amy opened her mouth to speak but winced as a sharp pain struck. It passed quickly, but it signaled something was beginning. The next day, Dr. Caroline Reed examined Amy during a routine checkup. "The baby might come early," she said gently. "Rest as much as possible this week and call me if anything changes." When Amy shared this with her mother, Martha's expression darkened. "You're saying you might miss the wedding?" Her voice was icy. "Do you realize how much that would hurt Vanessa?" "Mom, I want to be there, but the baby—" "Amy, you always think of yourself," Martha snapped. "This is your sister's most important day." That night, Amy spoke with James over the phone. "You need to follow the doctor's advice and skip the wedding," he urged, worried. "But James, it's Vanessa's day," Amy replied, her voice trembling. "Mom will never forgive me." "Your health and the baby come first," James said firmly. "I'll be back the day after tomorrow. Don't push yourself." After the call, Amy sat by the window gazing at Boston's moonlit skyline. She had always tried to meet her family's expectations. Her father, Henry, was gentle but overshadowed by Martha's dominant presence. Despite her complex feelings toward her mother, Amy decided to attend the wedding, convincing herself it was her own choice. On the wedding morning, Marigold Manor, a luxurious resort in Boston's suburbs, hummed with activity. The crisp April air carried the scent of white roses and lilacs decorating the garden, gleaming in the sunlight. From her room, Amy looked out at the stunning venue, a persistent ache in her lower back lingering from the night before. She touched her belly and murmured, "Please stay calm today." A knock broke her thoughts. "Amy, are you ready?" Martha entered, elegant in a pale blue gown. "The makeup artist is waiting in Vanessa's room. Hurry." "Good morning, Mom," Amy said, smiling. "I've been feeling off since last night. Can I rest a bit?" Martha cut her off. "Amy, today is Vanessa's day. I don't have time for your complaints." She eyed Amy's emerald green maternity dress. "Couldn't you have picked something that hides your figure better?" Amy glanced at her dress. "It's the nicest one, Mom, and it's comfortable." "Fine," Martha said curtly. "Be in Vanessa's room in 15 minutes and stay unobtrusive during the ceremony. Stand in the back for photos." After Martha left, Amy stared at her tired reflection in the mirror. Her only solace was James's morning message. He might return early, possibly for the reception. Vanessa's room was a whirlwind of activity, with bridesmaids bustling and stylists working diligently. Vanessa sat by the window, visibly nervous. "Good morning, Vanessa," Amy said, approaching. Vanessa smiled warmly. "I'm a bit nervous but so happy to marry Thomas." Amy took her sister's hand. "You're stunning today. Thomas is fortunate." "Thank you, Amy," Vanessa said sincerely. "I'm glad you're here. How are you feeling?" "I'm okay," Amy reassured, but a sharp pain surged through her, stealing her breath. "Amy?" Vanessa asked, concerned. "Just Braxton Hicks," Amy said, waiting for the pain to ease. "Today's about you." As the ceremony approached, tension mounted. Amy took her father's arm as they walked to the wedding hall. Henry smiled softly. "Are you all right, Amy? You don't look well." "I'm fine, Dad," Amy said, forcing a smile. "The baby will wait a bit longer." Martha approached. "Henry, greet the guests," she said, then turned to Amy. "Sit down and don't draw attention." Just before the ceremony, another sharp pain hit Amy, sweat beading on her forehead. The pains matched Dr. Reed's description of labor. She began to panic, but with everyone seated and the pastor ready, the music started. Vanessa entered, radiant in her white gown, drawing gasps from the crowd. Amy watched her sister's joy, enduring her own pain. During the vows, Amy's pain grew unbearable. She bit her lip, striving to stay composed. A nearby relative looked concerned, but Amy managed a weak smile. After the ceremony, the photo session began. Following Martha's orders, Amy stood at the back, forcing smiles through the pain. "Just the family shots now," Martha announced as Amy reached her limit. "Amy, stand up straight, hands off your hips." "Mom, Amy's voice broke. "Not now, Amy," Martha whispered sharply. "Just hold on." When the photos ended, Amy excused herself to the restroom, staggering down the hall. Leaning against the wall, she breathed deeply as contractions grew closer. "Amy!" Martha's voice called. "Everyone's waiting." Amy turned, her face contorted in pain. "Mom, the baby." Martha glanced around, ensuring privacy. "Not now, Amy. You need to be seated for Vanessa's speech." "But the pain," Amy gasped. "Just endure it," Martha said coldly. "It's only a few hours. Doesn't your sister deserve her moment?" Trembling, Amy reached the bathroom door. Torn between her mother's harshness and her desire not to ruin Vanessa's day, a violent contraction hit, nearly forcing a scream. "Mom, please help me," she pleaded. Martha's eyes hardened. "I'll check on you after the speeches. Wait here." Powerless, Amy entered the bathroom, collapsing onto the cold tiles. The resort's opulent bathroom featured a marble sink and a large mirror, but no windows, only the locked door. "Calm down," Amy whispered, trying to breathe. She reached for her phone but realized she'd left it at her seat. Panic surged. Another contraction struck and she gripped the sink, her pale face reflected in the mirror, hair damp with sweat. Her dress was soaked. "Help someone," she called faintly, but the thick door muffled her voice. Amy pressed her hands to her belly, feeling the baby's intense movements. "Not yet, baby," she begged, but her body was preparing for birth. Between contractions, Amy crawled toward the door. "Mom, please open the door. I need the hospital." No response came. Martha's cold words echoed. "Endure it. Today is your sister's big day." Another contraction, stronger and longer, brought Amy to her knees, her dress now wet with amniotic fluid. "James," she whispered, knowing he was likely en route from the airport. Time blurred as Amy focused on surviving the pain. She knew the baby was coming, but without help, both were at risk. Crawling toward the door again, she was stopped by another contraction, collapsing with a cry of despair. "Mom, please," she sobbed. Outside, the reception proceeded seamlessly. Champagne flowed, and laughter mingled with music. Thomas took the microphone. "Thank you all for joining us," he said warmly. "I especially thank Vanessa's family, Martha, Henry, and Amy." He paused. "Where is Amy?" A murmur spread among the guests. Martha stood quickly. "She's feeling unwell and resting," she said, a hint of unease in her voice. She planned to check on Amy after the speech. In the bathroom, Amy's condition worsened. Contractions were minutes apart, and she fought the urge to push. "Not yet, I need a hospital," she gasped, clutching the sink's plumbing. She tried recalling childbirth class techniques. Deep breathing, staying calm, but being alone was unimaginable. "God, protect my baby," she prayed. Crawling again, she grabbed a towel to spread on the floor. But another contraction overwhelmed her, her vision fading. "James," she whispered as the urge to push grew undeniable. Her consciousness wavered, memories flashing. Childhood efforts to please her mother, envy of Vanessa's successes, meeting James, and the joy of pregnancy. On the floor she pushed instinctively. "Come, Mommy's here," she whispered. At the reception, Vanessa grew anxious. "Mom, Amy's been gone too long," she told Martha quietly. "I'm worried." Martha patted her shoulder. "She's fine, just resting. Let's prepare for the cake cutting." But Vanessa's unease persisted. She turned to Thomas. "I'm worried about Amy." He nodded. "Let's find her." A commotion erupted at the hall's entrance. James burst in, scanning for his wife. "Where's Amy?" he demanded of Martha. "James, welcome," Martha said with a forced smile. "She's resting. She'll be back soon." James's face darkened. "Where?" "In the bathroom," Vanessa answered quickly. "She's been gone over 30 minutes. James sprinted to the bathroom, Martha, Vanessa, and Thomas following. He felt dread, knowing Amy's condition. At the door he knocked. "Amy, are you there?" No answer. "Amy." He pounded harder. Martha arrived, tense. "She's just tired," she said. "Open the door," James demanded. "It's locked," Martha replied softly. "She locked it." "Don't lie," James snapped. "Amy wouldn't lock herself in. Open it." Martha's hand shook as she fumbled for the key. James's fury grew. "Open it now, or I'll break it down." Martha unlocked the door, revealing a harrowing scene. Amy lay unconscious on the floor, her dress soaked with blood and amniotic fluid, a tiny baby beside her, moving faintly but pale and silent. James's anguished cry and Vanessa's scream echoed through the venue. "Call a doctor," James shouted, kneeling by his wife and child. "Amy, can you hear me?" He touched her pale face. Martha stood frozen, confronting her actions' consequences. Vanessa, after screaming, rushed to Amy's side. "Someone help," she cried. Thomas acted swiftly. "My uncle's here. Uncle William, a doctor." He ran, calling for him. Martha leaned against the wall, trembling, whispering, Dr. William Clark arrived, assessing the situation with professional calm. "Step back, I need space," he ordered. "Thomas, call an ambulance." "James, tend to the baby." He checked Amy's pulse and tapped her face. "Amy, can you hear me?" Amy's eyes fluttered open, unfocused. "Baby," she whispered. "The baby's alive," William said. "Breathing's weak but stable. They need a hospital now." James cradled the baby, tears in his eyes. "My son." Vanessa brought towels, and William wrapped the baby to maintain warmth. "Ambulance is 10 minutes out," Thomas reported. Staff and guests gathered, but Thomas urged them back. "Medical staff are handling this." William monitored Amy. "She's bleeding heavily but stable. She's strong." Martha approached Vanessa, trembling. Vanessa pulled away. "Mom, why?" she demanded, voice thick with anger. "Did you lock Amy in there?" "I didn't think she'd give birth," Martha stammered. "I just wanted the ceremony to go smoothly." Vanessa's face twisted. My wedding was more important than Amy and her baby's lives? James glared at Martha, his voice low with rage. You nearly killed my wife and child. This is criminal. Martha recoiled. William added, locking a first-time mother alone, you'll face legal consequences. Paramedics arrived, transferring Amy to a stretcher, and the baby to a warming device. You can come with them, a paramedic told James. He turned to Vanessa. Call the police. Of course, she nodded, her wedding gown now irrelevant. We'll follow to the hospital. Martha looked to Henry, desperate. He had long deferred to her, but today changed something. Martha, what have you done? He said, voice heavy with sorrow. Endangering our daughter? I just wanted perfection, Martha whispered. Perfection? Henry laughed bitterly. You've destroyed everything. The ambulance sped off, siren blaring. James held Amy's hand, whispering, You're safe now, you and the baby. Amy smiled faintly before slipping back into unconsciousness. At the hospital, prepared by William's call, doctors rushed Amy to treatment and the baby to the NICU. James waited in the hallway, lost. Hours later, Amy awoke in a hospital bed, James at her side. The baby? She asked. He's okay, James said, relieved. Small but strong. The doctors are impressed. Amy wept. Mom. The police are questioning her, James said coldly. She'll face consequences. Vanessa entered, still in her wrinkled wedding dress, makeup streaked. Amy, I'm so sorry, she sobbed. It's not your fault, Amy said weakly. But my wedding. You didn't know, Amy said, taking her hand. Your nephew picked your wedding day. Isn't that special? Vanessa smiled through tears. A boy. Yes, little Henry after Dad, Amy said. Henry and Thomas entered. Henry's face lined with exhaustion. Amy, I was weak, he said. I should have stopped Martha. Dad. Amy began but couldn't continue. Martha's with the police, Henry said. With William's testimony, she faces serious negligence charges. Silence settled over the room, heavy with the family's fractured bonds and distorted love that led to this tragedy. I can't forgive her, James said firmly, for endangering our son. We all need time, Amy said, exhausted. Boston's autumn was vibrant. Amy sat by her living room window, cradling 3-month-old Henry, who had survived that harrowing day and was thriving, his reddish hair like his grandfather's. How was today? James asked, kissing them both. Good, Amy smiled. Vanessa and Thomas visited. They're smitten with him. James nodded, making coffee. Vanessa and Amy's bond had deepened. They met often, discussing past and future. Vanessa and Thomas had quietly registered their marriage, foregoing a new ceremony. It's not the wedding but love that matters, Vanessa had said. How's Dad? James asked. Better, Amy said, touching Henry's cheek. He's adjusting to his apartment. Henry had separated from Martha, living alone downtown and visiting his grandson often, seeking redemption. And your mom? James asked cautiously. Amy gazed at the falling leaves. She called this morning. The court ordered community service and counseling. She kept apologizing, sounded sincere. Martha, on probation, had lost her social standing, her worst fear realized by her own actions. Will you see her? James asked. Amy paused. Not yet, but someday, for Henry's sake. Her feelings were tangled. Anger lingered, but motherhood brought new perspective. Martha's perfectionism might stem from her own traumas, not excusing but explaining her actions. Christmas is coming, James said, touching her shoulder. What do you want? Amy inhaled deeply. To invite everyone, Dad, Vanessa, Thomas, and Mom. James looked surprised. Really? Healing starts with forgiveness, Amy said softly. Henry needs a grandmother, not perfect but loving. That night, Amy wrote in her diary. Dear son, your birth was the scariest and most beautiful day of my life. You showed strength in chaos. Your arrival wounded our family but taught us what family truly means. She gazed at the starry sky. The scars were deep but healing. No family is perfect, only people brave enough to face truth through love and forgiveness. Little Henry smiled in his sleep. The future was uncertain, but Amy was certain of one thing. She would protect this small life with all she had. That was a mother's love, enduring even through wounds. Amy kissed her son gently. "Good night, my angel," she whispered. "Mommy will always protect you. I promise."